Last time we implemented various permission checks in our application to restrict data and actions. Finally, we assigned the object via the IAM app to obtain and work with the permissions. Currently the values are hard-coded and we cannot adjust them in the roles. Therefore, in this episode we will look at restriction types and how we can use them to dynamically control permissions. As a first step, we create new objects, starting with a restriction field. We can begin creating them via the context menu and find the appropriate type among the objects. We can name the field exactly the same as the authorization field and add a descriptive name. Once the object is created, we need to assign our authorization field, as we will maintain this later in the permission settings. We can obtain the field via the content assist. Finally, we can check the available values using the search help button. If we activate the checkbox, we could also maintain ranges. However, since we only have 3 values, this isn't necessary. After saving, we can then create a new restriction type. We can do this directly via the link at the bottom, as this starts the wizard and also assigns the field to the new object at the end. Let's now assign a name and a description and create the new object. The field is already assigned here, so we can now assign our authorization object. This establishes the connection to maintenance. Finally, don't forget to publish the object using publish locally. To use the new restriction type, we need to assign it to our business catalog. First, we search for the type and add it to the position. Then we activate the 3 checkboxes to use the restriction type for these methods. Finally, we save and publish the catalog. Now we adjust the permissions in the IAM app and remove the contact type, as we want to manage this via the role. We leave the various activities as they are for now. Basically, the different activities are assigned to actions like write or read and are then enabled or disabled via the various restrictions. Here you should also remember to publish the updated permissions to the Launchpad. After all objects have been enabled, saved and published, we go to the Launchpad and open the Maintain Business Role application. There we access the ZRH admin role and enter maintenance mode via edit. We can start maintaining individual permissions using the Maintain Restriction button. Currently, the permissions are set to unrestricted, which applies to all permissions. Therefore, we set write and read to restricted, thus activating the maintenance of these objects. We can now maintain the contact type for which we want to grant permissions. For testing purposes, we set write and read for employee and only read for address. Finally, we save the role so that the new permissions are applied. Returning to the Launchpad in our area, we see 4 data entries already displayed on the tile, and we open the application. There we now see employees and addresses for which we now have permissions. If we go to the employees record, we can still edit it, but deletion is not possible because we don't have the necessary permissions via the IAM app. If we now access the address, we cannot edit it, and creating a new address also doesn't work. Now let's go back to managing the role and set the values to unrestricted. Save the role and go back to the application. There we can again see and edit all types of contacts. To obtain all permissions as an administrator, we adjust the permissions for the IAM app and also activate the checkbox for delete. Then we publish the new permissions to the Launchpad. We now can check whether we can also delete the data records again. All actions are now available again on the object page, and we therefore have all the permissions we need as an administrator. We can now restrict permissions to the data via the role to offer our users only the relevant data. Likewise, only authorized employees can edit the data, and apart from the administrator, no one can delete the data records from the system. That brings us to the end of this episode. Thanks for watching and see you next time.